When we speak about the DU letter 2, BFA Macron of a mother, we're not talking about an ordinary supplication. We're talking about a prayer that emerges from a lifetime of sacrifices, some visible, most unseen, and that combination gives her words a spiritual weight that is unlike any other. A mother prays from a place no one else stands in. Her love is not theoretical, it is carved into her bones through years of exhaustion, worry, protection, and unconditional giving. So when she raises her hands, her DU letter 2, BFA Macron, is powered by sincerity that has been refined through pain, love, and endurance. And sincerity is what makes a DU letter 2, BFA Macron, travel faster, strike deeper, and be received with greater mercy. There is a reason the Prophet letter FDFA emphasized the honor of mothers in such absolute terms. He wasn't simply praising them socially, he was pointing us toward a spiritual reality. Mothers are the first sanctuary of the child even before birth. The physical connection, the emotional shaping, the silent hours of nurturing, all of these elements create a bond that is not merely biological but spiritual. When someone like that prays for you, they pray from the deepest, most authentic place a human heart can reach. And Allah responds to truth that comes from the depths of the heart. Destiny is written, yes, but DU letter 2 BFA Macron is one of the ways destiny unfolds. We sometimes imagine divine decree as a rigid, unchangeable script. But the Quran and Sunnah tell us that DU letter 2 BFA Macron is woven into the very structure of Qadar. It is part of the system Allah created. A mother's DU letter 2, BFA Macron, does not violate destiny. It activates destiny. Allah knew she would pray, and Allah wrote openings for you through the sincerity of her voice. That is how divine wisdom and human effort meet in the middle. You walk, but her DU letter 2, BFA Macron, clears the path. If you think about it from a psychological perspective, there is no one in the world whose DU letter 2, BFA Macron, contains as much pure goodwill as a mother's. Everyone else, no matter how well-intentioned, carries some form of ego, expectation, or personal interest. A mother's prayer is almost always free from these filters. She wants nothing from you except your safety, your success, your guidance, your closeness to Allah. That type of desire for good uncontaminated by selfishness is rare, and when it exists, it becomes a magnet for divine mercy. From a philosophical angle, a mother's DU letter 2, BFA Macron, is a reminder of how Allah builds his mercy into the world through human relationships. He doesn't just send guidance directly from the heavens, he plants it in the hearts of people who love us in ways we cannot fully comprehend. A mother's DU letter 2, BFA Macron, is one of those channels through which the unseen touches the seen. It shows us that divine help sometimes arrives not through our own effort, but through somebody else's broken voice in the last third of the night. And many people don't realize this until much later in life, until they look back and see the moments when they were saved from a disaster they never knew existed. They interpret it as luck or coincidence, but often it was a mother making DU letter 2, BFA Macron, for her child's protection while that child slept, oblivious to what he was being shielded from. Your successes, your safety, your direction in life, some of them may be tied directly to a prayer you never heard, spoken by a woman who felt your pain before you even understood what pain was. If you have a mother who still raises her hands for you, treasure it. If she is alive, serve her so that her DU letter 2, BFA Macron, comes from a place of joy, not sorrow. If she has passed on, continue to honor her so that the angels carry prayers on her behalf. A mother's DU letter 2, BFA Macron, is a gift that cannot be bought, replaced, or replicated. It is one of the greatest forces shaping a person's destiny, and if you want your destiny to transform, begin by valuing the one whose prayer can transform it. When we think about the sacrifices of a mother, most of us imagine the obvious ones, the sleepless nights, the constant worry, the daily responsibilities that never truly end. But what we often overlook are the sacrifices that remain hidden, the ones she never speaks about, the ones she carries quietly because she believes it is her duty, not her burden. These unseen sacrifices are not just emotional gestures, they become a spiritual currency. They become fuel for divine intervention in the life of her child. And this is what makes a mother's DU letter to BFA Macron so different from any other prayer. It is backed by a lifetime of giving, a lifetime of pain, and a lifetime of love that has never asked for anything in return. A mother endures exhaustion not for recognition, but out of instinctive compassion. She loses sleep without announcing it. She hides her worries so her child feels safe. She absorbs pain so her child can grow without fear. These unspoken acts accumulate over years, forming a reservoir of sincerity inside her heart. And sincerity is what transforms DU letter to BFA Macron from mere words into a force that moves the unseen. Allah responds to hearts that have been refined through endurance, to souls that have learned to love without conditions, and no heart has learned these lessons as deeply as the heart of a mother. Many people rise in life not because they were the smartest or the most disciplined or the most privileged, but because someone behind the scenes was pouring her soul into her prayers. Someone was whispering their name with trembling lips, asking Allah to give them what she herself never had. Someone was asking for doors to open for them, even when her own life was filled with closed doors. The child walks into opportunities thinking it is his strength or his strategy, but in reality, he is walking on pathways cleared by a mother who cried for him long before he learned how to cry for himself. And sometimes the child is not doing well, not spiritually, not morally, not emotionally, yet somehow he is protected from falling into the worst of what could have happened. He finds his way back even after periods of confusion. He escapes dangers he didn't even see coming. This is the quiet work of a mother's DU letter to BFA Macron, shielding him even when he is far from guidance, even when he is far from her, even when he is far from his own better self. The child may not deserve it in that moment, but her DU letter to BFA Macron covers him anyway, because her love does not measure worthiness, it simply gives. From a psychological standpoint, the emotional investment a mother has in her child creates a level of intensity in her prayers that is unmatched. Her fear for his safety, her hope for his future, her desire for his happiness, all of these emotions deepen the sincerity of her supplication. And sincerity in the world of DU letter to BFA Macron is everything. The more sincere the heart, the more powerful the prayer. A mother's heart is trained in sincerity from the day her child is born. From a spiritual perspective, Allah elevates the one who sacrifices. And when a mother's entire life revolves around sacrifice, her DU letter to BFA Macron naturally rises with a speed and acceptance that others cannot replicate. It is as if every tear she has shed becomes a witness to her sincerity. Every hardship she patiently endured becomes a testimony before Allah, strengthening her voice when she says, "Ya Rab, protect my child." And so much of what you enjoy today, your safety, your success, your stability, may be tied not to your own efforts, but to the whispered prayers of a woman who gave up pieces of her life so you could have a better one. So if you truly want to understand the power shaping your journey, look not only at what you have done, but at what she has endured. And if you want your future to flourish, honor the one whose sacrifices helped build the foundation of your present. Even when relationships are strained, when words have been harsh and misunderstandings linger, a mother's DU letter to BFA Macron rarely stops. This is one of the most profound realities about maternal love. It operates beyond the limits of human judgment. A mother may be hurt, frustrated, or disappointed, yet her concern for her child's well-being surpasses every grievance. Psychologically, this reveals the depth of a mother's unconditional investment. She separates her feelings about behavior from her responsibility toward the soul she brought into the world. Her DU letter to BFA Macron does not rely on your obedience, your gratitude, or your success. It relies on her unshakable commitment to your life, your safety, and your guidance. Think about that for a moment. Most human relationships are transactional in some way. We invest in others and we expect returns: affection, respect, loyalty, reciprocity. But a mother's love and her prayers are almost entirely free from these constraints. She prays for the child who may have wronged her, for the child who may have disobeyed her, for the child who may have turned away from her guidance entirely. Her DU letter to BFA Macron is persistent because her love is persistent, and this persistence transforms her prayers into a kind of spiritual safety net that works even when the child is unaware, indifferent, or misguided. From a philosophical perspective, this shows us a principle that is often overlooked in our understanding of destiny and divine guidance. Influence can operate silently through channels we cannot control or see. You may be making choices that take you further from guidance, yet the DU letter 2, BFA Macron of a mother remains active. It can redirect potential disasters, soften hearts around you, open opportunities, and shield you from unseen harm. Even when the child is unaware, the mother's prayers continue to create ripples in reality, and Allah, in His infinite wisdom, can make use of those ripples in ways we cannot imagine. There is also a psychological depth to this phenomenon. A child may rebel, may leave home, may reject advice, yet the mother's subconscious influence is never fully erased. Her worries, her hopes, her quiet moments of calling upon Allah for her child accumulate over time, shaping circumstances that the child only experiences later. Many adults reflect on their lives and realize that some moments of protection, some sudden opportunities, some timely guidance came at a moment when they least deserved it or least expected it. That is not coincidence. It is the unseen power of a mother's DU letter to BFA Macron working silently, persistently, and without conditions. Even in moments of estrangement, her prayers are unbroken. A mother may sigh in exhaustion over a child's choices, but she continues to speak to Allah on their behalf. This is a testament to the enduring power of human love as a spiritual channel. Her DU letter 2, BFA Macron, does not vanish because of anger, conflict, or disappointment. It transcends the petty limitations of human emotions because it is rooted in something far deeper. A sacred responsibility that Allah Himself has honored and emphasized repeatedly. The mother's heart becomes a vessel through which divine mercy flows toward the child, regardless of merit or action. What this teaches us is profound. Even when you feel farthest from guidance, even when you feel undeserving or lost, there is a force working for you that you cannot see. You may feel isolated in your struggles, but a mother's DU letter to BFA Macron is a bridge, a protection, and a source of light that travels faster than human perception. It reminds us that divine intervention often comes through the hearts of those who care most, and few hearts care more than a mother's. So the lesson is clear. Do not underestimate the silent power of a mother's prayer. Even if your relationship is strained, even if mistakes have been made, her DU letter to BFA Macron continues. Honor it, recognize it, and if you can, reciprocate it through respect, love, and service. Because in the unseen world where destiny unfolds, nothing moves faster or more effectively than the prayer of a mother who loves without condition. Your journey, your safety, and your guidance may well depend on it. If a mother's DU letter to BFA Macron can shape destinies, then one of the most practical and immediate ways a person can transform their own future is by honoring the one whose prayers can change it. This is not just about respect or duty. It is about aligning yourself with a source of immense spiritual power. Think about it. If someone has the ability to influence the course of your life through their sincere supplications, wouldn't it make sense to ensure that their heart remains full of love and contentment toward you? The relationship you cultivate with your mother is not merely emotional or familial. It is a conduit through which divine mercy flows, a channel through which your life can be blessed beyond what you can imagine. Honoring your mother is not limited to obedience in obvious matters. It is also about creating joy in her life, easing her burdens, and giving her a sense of pride and contentment in your character. When she sees that the sacrifices she made, the years she endured in service of you, have borne fruit in your integrity, your kindness, and your moral strength, her DU letter to BFA Macron becomes intensified. Nourished by satisfaction and hope rather than worry and sorrow, the child who brings joy to his mother is, in effect, investing in a spiritual legacy that can ripple through his own life in countless unseen ways. There is also a profound psychological and spiritual truth here. The state of the heart from which DU letter 2, BFA Macron, comes affects its power. A mother who is constantly worried, sad, or disappointed may pray, but her prayers are tinged with the human emotions she cannot entirely remove. When her heart is lightened, when her relationship with her child reflects love, respect, and fulfillment, her DU letter 2 BFA Macron reaches its peak effectiveness. Honoring your mother through service, gratitude, compassion, and love enhances the sincerity of her supplications for you. It is a synergy between human effort and divine acceptance. You act, she prays, and Allah's mercy flows through both. Philosophically, this teaches us that destiny is not a static, impersonal force. It is dynamic, interactive, and responsive to the relationships we cultivate. When we honor those who are closest to us, especially our mothers, we participate in a network of blessings that extend far beyond material or visible benefits. Your character, your resilience, your guidance, your successes, all can be influenced by the spiritual momentum created through honoring her. Conversely, neglect or mistreatment can weaken this momentum, depriving you of a source of divine favor that is both profound and rare. Spiritually, there is also an element of reciprocity built into our human experience. When you treat your mother with care, respect, and love, you are not only earning her pleasure, you are nurturing the very force that has the potential to safeguard and elevate your life. You become a partner in sustaining the spiritual energy that can influence your future. It is an active investment in your destiny. Your actions cultivate a fertile ground for her DU letter 2 BFA Macron to flourish. And it is never too late. Even if you have neglected this relationship in the past, small, sincere efforts to honor her, show gratitude, or make amends can reignite this spiritual flow. A kind word, a respectful gesture, a thoughtful action, each of these can bring joy to her heart and in turn amplify the DU letter 2 BFA Macron she makes for you. So if you want your destiny to transform, look no further than the one whose prayers can guide it. Do not wait for recognition or reward in the worldly sense. The benefit of honoring a mother transcends the material world. Every act of respect, every moment of service, every effort to bring her happiness feeds a force that shapes your life in ways you cannot fully see or understand. Your future, your safety, your guidance, these may very well be tied to the heart of the woman who gave you life. Honor her, cherish her, and invest in her DU letter 2 BFA Macron. In doing so, you are not just honoring a parent, you are actively nurturing the very force that can elevate your destiny. The choice is yours. Cultivate it, and let your mother's prayers light the path to the best of your life.